Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be checking out What the Internet Did to Garfield by Super Eyepatch Wolf. Now, I actually have a little bit of idea what this is because I saw some of the Cthulhu-esque Garfield drawings that people decide, you know what's going to be fun? Making it so incredibly disturbing that you actually feel like you should put some kind of warning on it because people have done that! And this is a video documenting it, so viewer discretion is advised. This is the warning. If you stick around past here, it's probably going to be as dumb as usual because I'm involved, so we know exactly what we're getting into. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. Link below, original video, hit up. And if you know anything else about Super Eyepatch Wolf, this is literally the first video I've ever heard of theirs, and they're a huge channel, so I just apparently missed everything. Which, I mean, it's me, so that's normal. But yeah, if there's anything else to check out, let me know, because I'm kind of curious. And let's see where this goes, which we know is going to be... yeah.
Garfield is a daily newspaper comic strip starring the iconic orange cat of the same name.
Watched these, read these all growing up, so yeah.
John Arbuckle.
Okay, wow, we're just going to Freddy Garfield. Fazfield? Whatever. I didn't realize that was a... Don't tell me this isn't a mod. Someone made an actual game of this. You know what? Someone probably made an actual game of this. Why? I don't even...
Relatable, surly, and adorable.
Yeah,
Garfield was based
relatable,
on
unfortunately.
memories of his creator, Jim Davis.
No, what? I don't... Where do you find this stuff? You know what? I probably shouldn't have asked that because someone might actually know and give me the answer. And I don't... I know it's basically Cthulhu, but with Garfield's head, but really?
And in the 40 years since we first met this lasagna-loving rascal, Garfield has become...
40? God damn.
Become a global phenomenon.
Didn't even
with
realize.
yearly merchandising sales at an estimated...
Okay, yeah, we're going to something creepy, but let's take a second here and just... You know, I was expecting creepy art like the Cthulhu one. And then there's this. There's a freaking Garfield! 2! 3! Garfield... That's a pachinko machine. 3... I don't even... no, that's actually... I don't even... 3 gambling machines dedicated to Garfield in here. I don't even get this. Why is this a thing? This isn't a collection. This is Hoarders. This is an episode of Hoarders. And yet this is still less disturbing. Okay, that one is actually a little freakier. What the... Okay, never mind. We're getting even worse as we go. That's actually a little normaler.
I've been covering fandoms for a little while.
Yeah, The Simpsons, which somehow is now less disturbing.
When you stare at a fandom long enough, you begin to get this very distorted yet very honest reflection of it.
Okay, we're touching on the Sonic stuff. I thought no one on the internet's dumb enough to touch on the Sonic stuff, but you're touching on the Sonic stuff. You know that's probably the wrong choice of words to use in this case, but...
The heart of the Simpsons, the descent of Sonic, the magnitude of Undertale.
Yeah, honestly, that's in-game, though.
There's Garfield. Believe me when I say, what Garfield has become on the internet is the most bizarre fandom I've ever encountered. And I'm not even talking about Garfield porn here, although, yes, there is totally that as well. And yes, I did have to fuck up my Google Analytics to find these. No, I'm talking about things far more.
Why did I pause here? I thought it was, oh, the cute picture of a kid. No. You know, can we go back to the Cthulhu stuff? I think that's probably less disturbing.
Bizarre, which, if you are not aware of, allow me to give you a...
Also, I know that painting. That's a real painting, and they just replaced the cat. It's like a hyper-realistic Garfield head in there. Well, I don't just... why? That's... I don't... Is there an entire community that's just dedicated not just to the creepy stuff or making their own really dumb shit, but matching the stylistic choices of Renaissance paintings and pre-Renaissance art and just inserting comic characters? You know what? Having said that out loud, there probably is literally that. I can't tell if I actually really love and or hate that. I really don't know.
Little preview. r/Alzheimer's group is a subreddit of 50,000 people reposting the same Garfield comic over and over and over. Each member role-playing like this is the first time they've seen it. Relax John is an 8-part animated series in which a morbidly depressed John Arbuckle is dragged into a frightening alternate reality as he is subsumed by a demonic Garfield.
Okay, so I'm sure that's where the Cthulhu Garfield came from. And I'm glad we're watching this guy talk about it rather than watching it itself, because this way I can distance myself from it and not have a, I think the term is screaming fit on camera that I would definitely remember to edit out, because I definitely remember that all the time.
I'm sorry, John. Actually, Jesus, no, we're not ready for I'm sorry, John.
Oh, they're pushing it back.
Maybe in like an hour. And maybe you've noticed the runtime for this video and are asking, how could I possibly spend this much time on an idea that the subtle lowering of my father's eyebrows as I explained it to him communicated to me was something he considered a profound waste of time.
I mean, that's basically the internet in a nutshell. So, par for course. On the other hand, are you sure it's a waste of time, or is he considering maybe they need to get that padded room for you looking into it?
Oh god, I was meant to make a video about Berserk this year.
And somehow that's less disturbing.
I got lost. Lost in Garfield. God, I hope it's worth it. But the answer is I have looked deep into Garfield and I have seen things horrible.
There's just so many images. Some I recognize and some are just like, what the fuck?
Including what is to me, and I'm serious here, the greatest piece of fan art ever created.
That is a very loaded question. I'm absolutely disturbed by whatever he possibly chooses, because there's going to be a ton of other things that might be a runner-up that are also probably disturbing. It's going to be something effed up, isn't it? You don't highlight something like this and not reveal it right away if it's not something you're building up to, because you have to justify it. Because any other rationale here, it's like, yeah, this is what I think is the best. Here's why. This is why I'm going to give you an entire video justifying myself, and maybe you'll only judge me a little less harshly by the time it ends. And, yeah, no.
And I would like to show it all to you. So
why does that sound so dirty?
On this long and strange journey as we take our first step and ask a question.
And then there's another.
How the fuck did we get here from a cartoon cat who likes lasagna? Or to put it another way, what is Garfield?
That was just depression on Mondays.
Here, in that, unlike the other fandoms,
did he lose a bet? Or did he put this segment in after his mind sufficiently broke that this felt like a rational point to jump off from?
I've covered for this channel, I've never really been that
He's holding the tail.
Garfield. That's not to say I dislike Garfield. It's just, no, I'm not doing this. I do not need to humiliate myself for your amusement. That's not to
Dude, it's the internet. That's the entire point. I am so sorry.
say I dislike Garfield, just that I was never really into him as a kid, and that hadn't changed up until this video.
Really?
And so my first call was to go looking for art.
Okay, that actually is a very interesting thing right there. This video, where he's talking about all the crazy fucked up shit about it, made him interested in it. So he wasn't interested before. He's not a fan. He's someone who came into enjoying a fandom based on how fucked up the fandom is? I honestly have no idea if that is the most damning thing someone could say about him, or the greatest compliment a fandom can possibly receive. Both? Probably both. We're gonna have to find out.
Articles on the appeal of Garfield. But what I found was kind of the opposite. Multiple headlines and videos about how Garfield
not funny,
is
never
not
supposed to
funny
be.
and even was never meant to be.
I'll be honest, that makes sense. It's not a laugh out loud comic. It's a, yeah, this is the kind of fucked up shit I can empathize with. The older you get, the more you actually get that.
how Jim Davis is a marketing man first, and the comic was just intended as a vessel to sell merchandise. And
well, he succeeded.
A lot of Garfield, and trust me, I read a lot of Garfield. I actually disagree. I think this is a fairly cynical mischaracterization of Jim Davis and can be traced back to a single quote he gave 40 years ago.
A good marketable character? Oh, yeah, that's definitely an overread, because a good marketable character is literally every character that usually succeeds. There's a very small list of characters who aren't marketable in some way, shape, or form to some audience that succeed. Because if you have someone everyone hates, it's very rare that character takes off. Unless it's someone who everyone hates to such an extent that they're there just to see them punished. And even then, it's because there's usually good side characters you like.
And is not really reflective of
an 82 interview. Wow.
I have watched and read many interviews, who is the kind of person who still talks about wanting to make the whole world laugh with a single joke.
I'll be honest, maybe it's just me. I actually go more with the cynical one. Not so much the marketing, but the relatability part, just because it seemed more like it's funny because I get it, not because the joke itself is funny. Context matters type humor. So I guess maybe it changed over time. That's from 2018, and oh god, I stopped reading in the 90s when I was a kid. Why did I have so much empathy? Because I hated school. That's why. I literally hated school so much. The idea of hating Mondays really did fit. Was not expecting that revelation to hit all of a sudden. Wow, not the place I expected that.
But if I'm right about this, then why do so many people find Garfield unfunny? And that being the case, how has it survived for 40 years?
It's bright, it's colorful, and relatable.
Very generous with my interpretation of Garfield, but I think it's important to do that because we need to understand the appeal here. And while I am not going to defend the comedy in Garfield,
sometimes when you're down in the dumps, I mean way down in the dumps, you find a cookie. Yeah, but that ain't chocolate. That's actually not even funny. It's stupid. It's just like the dumb little 5-second distraction. Okay, yeah, actually, never mind. That answers the question. It's literally the 5-minute distraction that's bright, colorful, and occasionally funny, but also relatable. Also, this video is a lot more than I expected. I thought it'd be like, here's all the crazy shit. And it sounds like we're getting to that. But no. We're getting an entire history lesson here. I'm going to be completely honest. This is the kind of video I would actually like to watch on my own time. Not even making a video about, just going into it, because I kind of like these dissections of old things that I'm aware of and never really knew everything about. So this is going to be me doing a video I don't normally do then. This is me just enjoying something flat out and being very curious beyond thinking this is a fun video to make. Which admittedly is actually most of my videos. Not, you know what, never mind. I don't have standards. I just do everything I want regardless. Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Garfield, as we shall see later, I find 0.104% of Garfield comics funny. I do think
there's a ton though, so that's still probably thousands.
Why Garfield's humor gets such a polarizing reaction from people. Jim Davis's previous comic before Garfield was Norm the Gnat, which ended in 1975.
Oh.
He then spent 3 years doing, well, nothing.
Never even heard of that one.
Before beginning Garfield in 1978.
Dude, I've actually read this comic. I didn't realize it was from 78. Holy shit. My family, when we were growing up, we had the old books, like when they actually put the books together, and they had this really old art style. I didn't realize they were from the 70s, and yeah, the 70s though. I thought they were like, kind of looks a little old. Maybe it's like late, mid-90s. I don't know. Apparently I was wrong. Also, 3 years of nothing. You know, it's the 70s. I think enough said is basically all I need to say right there. And you know exactly what I mean. If you don't, hi, people who were born after the 2000s. The 70s were known as a time of hippies and other things I'm not going to describe on YouTube due to terms of service. But there is a reputation there.
And to give that date a little context, that is not this decade or the one before that.
That's the previous millennia.
Before that,
technically.
Or the one before that, or the one before that, but the one before.
Oh yeah, Fist of the North Star is pretty old, isn't it?
before that. Barring the old gods of media like Mickey Mouse and Peanuts, Garfield has been around longer than practically any relevant
That would
character
also
in
include
pop culture
Simpsons.
today. And you can imagine this lazy, rude, anti-authority cat being a little more outrageous in the late 70s than he is today. In the same way the Simpsons and Sonic the Hedgehog would have seemed wild and countercultural in their day before.
I mean, the Simpsons still technically are countercultural, but they've become so much of the culture that the culture aligns more with them, even though they're a little less horrible than they used to be. Yeah, it used to be a lot more abusive, and they toned that down, but they also made Bart the main character, so that's the weird thing, too. Also, Sonic. It's still countercultural, man, just in a very different way, and it's all the fandom, and I'm not going to touch that shit.
It's slowly becoming mainstream. That's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah, there were those movies.
We are
I never
just
saw them. I
not
need to fix
old
that.
enough to remember it. And Jim
Cowboy
Davis has even
Jays.
talked about this in interviews. That said, I don't think the appeal of Garfield is its humor. I think it's Garfield. And what I mean by this is that we all want to be Garfield. Please don't click off the video. I promise I have a point to make here. Think of everything you consider.
I don't even know what he just said because he was mumbling. What?
Garfield. Please don't click off the video. I promise I have a point to make here. Think of everything
Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay. Thank you, automatic subtitles, for actually helping for once.
you consider imperfect about yourself. Physical, mental, emotional, whatever. Any perceived flaw that makes you feel shame.
Oh, that is
Now,
disturbing.
imagine an alternate
Where did you even find this? It's literally just blurring between them, but it has that little warpy effect. This is actually the kind of thing that I would find moderately terrifying given more time to watch it.
version of yourself where those flaws still existed.
It's like all
but you
not at the same
just
time, and
accepted them. You are in perfect harmony with who
and their eyes
what
are all
you
linked up, and everything else
That's
changes around
life.
that.
Well, that's Garfield. Garfield is lazy, he's gluttonous, he's selfish, and people constantly make fun of him for being fat.
And he made the point prior to this that we all wanted to be him. I'm sorry, I'm an American. What's the difference?
But he doesn't give a shit. He is
Okay, that last part.
content in who and what he is, and any of his perceived flaws are other people's problems, not his. And that is some seriously aspirational
Confidence,
levels of
yeah.
confidence. But the real genius of the character is he also has all these little traits that allow us to see ourselves in him. Garfield hates Mondays, he likes coffee, he loves lasagna, he dislikes spiders, loves to sleep, and resents authority. These are all very general, but what that means is that no matter who you are, there's probably something in Garfield you're going to be able to relate to. And that relatability, combined with his more aspirational quality, creates this simple but massively appealing cocktail of a character. And I think it's the strength of that appeal that's let Garfield survive for 40 years.
Still blows my mind
And
it's
I
been
just
that
want to note
long.
here that for as messed up as things are going to
Okay, this is from DeviantArt, right? That's not actual new style,
I
is
just
it?
want to note here that for as
Original source deleted. Oh, it's feature. Okay, this is someone's fan art. It looks like the 90s reboot version. Where it's like the cool kid who knows what he's doing. He's like smug. Basically what they tried to do with Bart. It's this look right there. It looks like the 90s reboot.
is messed up
Unless it was.
as things are going to get this video, there is a lot of really cool
Still not
and
as disturbing,
wholesome
still not as
graphic fan
disturbing.
art from people who just earnestly enjoy.
You know what? It's the same level of dedication, but somehow it's less creepy. I think because it doesn't look like a shot and more, it's just what they're using. Also, the upset Garfield in a bikini. That is... Oh my god, they put their actual cat in it. Oh, wow. I just... Oh...
enjoy Garfield's comic and his world. One standout being the fan comic
I'm sorry, what the fuck was that?
earnestly enjoy Garfield's comic and his world.
Okay, that's just random anthropomorphized Garfield as an anime waifu. But done in the American color choice. Eating a PB&J? Really? Not a lasagna. I'm judging them for that part.
One standout being the fan comic John, which tells the story of an older John Arbuckle rediscovering his love of art and cartooning, and it's just this super cute and endearing take on these characters. Now, granted, you don't have to spend that long.
Don't tell me this is canon. Like, this is something that Jim Davis actually drew. That is disturbing. Buff Garfield. Also, I've seen the memes of the buff cats. So yeah, no, this is basically his take on it.
Looking for Garfield fan art on the internet before things start to get strange.
You messed up,
like
John.
Garfamon, a blog in which one intrepid Garfield artist has been redrawing the entirety of Pokemon as Garfield. And
are there 1,000+ Pokemons of this? This one's John doesn't count. Oh no, there's Garfield down there. Are some of these actually Pokemon? That's like just a wheel and what? I don't
know how many there are because my browser crashes before I hit Gen 1. But what I think's really interesting about Garfamon is it shows how iconic and malleable Garfield's
Which one's more impressive, the comic aspect?
Garfield's visual design.
Really? Even I recognize the Miltank with the little Arbuckles sticking out. Seriously, censor that shit.
Is recognizable enough to be twisted into basically anything and still read as Garfield. This will become horrifyingly relevant later. But it's not just Garfield's character design that applies to, but also the comic itself. Garfield's comic was a big part of his spread, designed to be as simple, timeless, and consumable as possible. Each one is entirely self-contained and rare.
Actually, no, not that I mentioned it. The entire timeless aspect. I thought this was from the 90s. I didn't realize it was from the 70s. So it definitely holds up. It does look timeless. The consistent style, it isn't crazy. It's sometimes when you look at older comics, you can tell when it's older. And some of the early ones for Garfield, you can tell they're early. But frankly, a lot of them throughout, if you went in there and 90s, 80s, 2000s, 2010s. Dear God, yeah, 40. Oh God, it's older than 40 years. '78. It's 23. Oh God, it's 45 years old, depending on when it started in that year. It's nearly hit a Doctor Who 50-year anniversary. I'm sorry, I'm actually having trouble wrapping my head around this. I'm just going to be like randomly later today when nothing's going on. It's like, you know, Garfield's a half-century old almost. And no one's going to believe me. I won't believe me, but I'll say it, and it'll be out there, and I won't be able to take it back. And then it'll just be in everyone's head, just sitting there, waiting until they have that realization of, oh shit, it's actually pretty old. I just, wow.
Rarely, if ever, touches off current events. And since even the early days of the internet and social media, people have been taking these comics and changing them.
The fuck? I'm a simple man, Garfield, with a simple need. Simple man, need woman. Simple woman. What was the comic before that?
Media,
was it actually exactly that?
Taking these comics.
Wrong number. That was Bob the Butcher. Okay, that's actually funny.
And changing them. Something that's possible because of how simple a formula they were.
Why not turn on the computer and ruin a perfectly good day? You know what? If the first thing you go to is Twitter, I'd probably even agree with that.
Work off, with each comic following the same 3-panel structure. The first panel establishes the scenario. It is the morning and John and Garfield have just woken up. The second panel is the setup. Garfield is in an unusually good mood. And the third panel, the punchline. Garfield.
Yep. Also, one of the things I always love, just the little shadows and the colorization change in the middle, just to indicate how it's supposed to be read. Going up, middle, down. Yeah, It's simple. The visual cues are there and the panel setup. It's really well done and very consistent, isn't it?
Garfield is in a good mood because he drinks
It's not
too much
crazy
coffee.
good. It's just,
With the exception of the longer Sunday comics, this is
it's like a
how
sugar cookie.
Garfield
It's
works.
just good.
And just like the character
Not great.
himself,
Not the best you're ever going to
that
get.
simplicity was critical in letting as wide an audience as possible
Mass
understand
market, yeah.
and enjoy Garfield. But it's also that simplicity
Also, I need more coffee now that I
that
see that.
made the comic so infinitely memeable. It
Yeah.
is shockingly easy to make your own Garfield comic from splicing together different establishment, setup, and punchline panels. And you can even try.
Haha. I don't know if I can take that for the next 23 days. Oh my god, that's actually a good one. It doesn't have the establishing shots and the continuity is all weird based on how it's framed. But yeah, it actually does work. As long as you have the first, middle, and third panels not mixed up, it actually works because the punchlines kind of fold together. Huh. Honestly, if you hadn't pointed that out, I never would have realized it.
Try this yourself with the random Garfield comic generators. And it's that.
I'm sorry, there's a what? Also, I'm pretty sure that's one of the old Garfields. The pipe one. Random Garfield generator. This is my own implementation of popular concept new click generate. Hold. So you can choose which one you want, new comic, and you say, oh god, what do they generate? I actually want to read that because so it's the actual things, what he just said, it's literally generating them based on the old ones. Now for some impressions. Pardon? Though being mistaken would be something, not nothing. So if today's the day I do nothing, I can't be mistaken, unless I'm mistaken. Oh yeah, it does kind of have this setup. It's like, impressions. I don't get it. Well, maybe someone should not listen to me. Or whatnot. Huh. It works. It's not the best, but yeah.
And it's that malleability.
Why does
that's
that
led
work,
to
even a little?
scores of popular online trends, such as replacing the last panel of a Garfield comic with an image of Garfield smoking a pipe, and an unusual amount of these still work. But
Life is like a poker game. If you don't win, smoke. Dieting is easy when you set your mind. I no longer crave food. Smoking Garfield. Mom! Son! Smoking Garfield. I think I've seen this entire bit in a movie.
my personal favorite is the same, except the final panel now being Garfield being flung from a window.
Oh my god. It's literally the guy being thrown out during the meeting, but it's just Garfield instead. Can I get anything for your breakfast, Garfield? Yeah, how about a big glass of freshly squeezed kitten juice? And her, Normal just throws him out the window, the cookie him laughing. This actually works. Like, unironically, this is a really good punchline. It's just him doing something, him being a dick, and him facing consequences. Why is that actually good?
In time, people also got much weirder than that.
The fuck?
For example, silent movie Garfield. Garfield with one extra beat panel. Garfish. Garfield with pixel art from that one really bad Garfield game that never released outside Japan.
There was one?
Garfield, but the drawing keeps getting lazier. Multiple choice Garfield.
I'm actually a little impressed about the lazy edit one because that means you're starting with it, you're redrawing with a slightly reduced profile, and then you're taking your slightly reduced profile and making it worse. So you have to consistently know how to discredit your own artistic skill to do it, which is actually very hard unless you're me, in which case I could do any of those easily because all my drawings are bad. Making them worse than that is nearly impossible though because of that.
Garfield, except all the comics from 1978 are color averaged together.
Oh god.
Real life Garfield.
I'm sorry, they did real life. Why? Garfield, there was a pan of lasagna here. Where's lasagna? Resting comfortably. He just has his legs up. Looks like he's dead. Where's the pan? Resting not so comfortably. Like, someone posed for this, or they just stock image. This is an incredible amount of thought put into something that looks like a dead stuffed animal. It's just thrown on a table. This is... And they even have the shadows almost there. If they just flipped that shadow, it'd actually fit the aesthetic perfectly.
Uncomfortably close Garfield.
I've instituted my first time-saving measure. You ready for this? As I'll ever be. One button! It would be cruel to tell him about pullovers. Wait. Uncomfortably close? That wasn't real?
Together. Real life Garfield.
Yeah.
Uncomfortably close Garfield.
Oh yeah, because there's just the two and they took that part out. They've edited this, didn't they? From Unnamed Press Syndicate. Is that the... I don't... Honestly, if you had told me this was a real one, I would have believed it.
Garfield devolves into noise.
Ah.
Two Garfields. Polarized Garfields, you get the idea. So
They've
Garfield
really had
is
fun with
this
this.
iconic, appealing character communicated through this simple but infinitely consumable and recreatable medium. And I think this does go away in helping us understand the existence of something like or/Alzheimer's.
What does it say? Comics literally have me stitches. Has anyone seen it before? There's nothing happening. I finally got the wildfire in my sock drawer under control. Out of the ordinary, I mean. Oh my god. And this is literally the Alzheimer's one? Wow. I'm very tempted to go post this. This is stupid.
Group. Well, there is something...
Just a cat. It's just a cat. Oh my god.
Undeniably cruel about this subreddit. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think there wasn't something interesting and even a little poetic here. The idea that someone's final tether to their own reality is something as simple but recognizable as a Garfield comic strip.
He's editing the video to make it look worse.
Even that too starts to...
I hate how I know exactly what he's referencing now.
fade. However, this still doesn't take us any closer to understanding why Garfield...
Okay, we're at SCP territory
so...
now. Also, on his part, little editing lines where it just breaks the image intentionally and how it's not entirely fitting in frame all the time. That's really good at showing how things are going downhill now.
You know, and I think a real...
Also, I just want to point out, those footsteps in there that are bloody, those aren't cat footprints, those are human footprints, but they look more like a hand. Ew.
And I think a real easy answer here is it's just the absurdity of making such depraved art out of something so simple and everyday. But as you may be able to tell from the remaining runtime on this video, I disagree.
I'm sorry, that's your editing? You have it at so many layers, you had to minimize most of them. You have all of that. Did your computer blow up the first time you tried to process this? Mad respect, but also mad terror that you tried in the first place. This is impressive and terrifying.
I disagree.
I don't even know how to do some of those edits.
There's genuinely something darker and stranger at play here, and I'm not even talking about the official Garfield's very occasional descent into something weirder.
Wait. Official? The fuck?
I'm talking about a darkness that lies at the heart of every Garfield comic strip. And to start to unravel what that is, I want to talk about the 28th of January 2008, when 27 very strange Garfield-themed videos all simultaneously appeared on a previously unknown YouTube channel.
Okay, I know the line where my sanity's about to snap, and we're at it. There's a lot of things he covered, and I liked how he went into the backstories to let us know a lot about actual Garfield and how things are going, where it's coming from, how people are interpreting it, how they're over-interpreting it and making it meme-worthy memes of themselves, which is then a meme of a meme. Because we're going full-on Metal Gear Rising at this point, because sure, why not? And I'm not even going to be surprised if there's a Metal Gear Rising that's been modded to have Garfield as the main character and or villains. Actually, it'd probably work for a few of them really well. But more importantly, I'm going to come back to this. I just think, well, with what we got coming next, I would like my sanity to remain intact by the end of it. If I do that, it's not going to right now. So yeah, I'm going to just go and do something less weird or what the fuck inducing, because that is very much everything they just showed, and I know it's only going to get weirder because I've seen a little bit of what was on the internet, and apparently there was a lot more than I realized. I was not prepared, but we're going to finish this up. We're going to do this a bunch, and yeah, tell me if there's anything I missed in the bit already, and let me know if I make a mistake jumping into this without maybe trying the kiddie pool version first and seeing some of the other videos he's referencing. You know what? I don't even need to ask. I'm pretty sure that's definitely the case. We're making a mistake, but I do mistakes all the time, so let's do it anyways. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and try and talk me out of this, please. Thanks. I'll see you guys later. Adios.